Okay, we will call this meeting to order. We have nothing on public hearings, so planning commission matters. Staff,
Yep, so no public hearing scheduled today. That owl can never see me. So the first agenda item, the first council meeting in November lands on Veterans Day. So they canceled that meeting. They're bumping their meeting to the 4th. Their second meeting lands on Thanksgiving week. So they're going to bump that to the 18th, which is both of our meetings. So they are telling us we are canceling our November meetings because they are taking them over.
Okay.
And it worked out because they needed a separate meeting for the 4th for the appeal for that best care decision. So that worked out well. So there will be no council meetings or no commission meetings in November. The next meeting will be December 16th. So we'll go ahead and keep that one. That's the one we usually cancel for the Christmas area, but we'll keep that just in case something comes up between now and 20 days prior. And that's, the week before Christmas week, so it's not a huge deal. So I wanted to let you guys know that this will be kind of our last meeting until then. Okay. Any questions, let me know. Or any changes or anything you want me to do before here and then, because we won't have one in November. The second thing, update on state grants. So there was a bunch of grant money that the state pushed out, right? Kind of here in October. There was a bunch of housing grants that went through their new Housing Accountability and Production Office, HAPO. Those we didn't apply for because I'm waiting for them to kind of get all their laws together, which they passed 13 more bills this cycle. That'll change the rules. So I'm kind of waiting for that to go, but then with this kind of the best care issue and some of the other rule changes, it's becoming so expansive, and the state's creating a model code for housing that I just said, you know what, this is going to sneak up on us, and if they're offering money now, I'm just going to apply for it.
Yeah.
And let
Let's
them.
do.
So I applied for a housing grant to help us do an audit. I called it an audit of our code to update it to state standards. So if we get that one, we'll have some work to do next year. I did another one to update our goal 5, which is our natural hazards, natural features. We hadn't done it since 2009, and the county's doing theirs. So John asked me if we could do it together. So where we overlap, we are consistent. So I went ahead and applied for that as well. And that's less of a new thing and more of, we might clean up some of our code language and just update the maps. So rim rocks, Barnes Butte, wetlands. The wetland inventory, apparently when we did it in 2009, never made it to the state to be approved. So they don't even know it exists. So our local wetland inventory was never basically blessed by the state. So they still think we have our 1994 anyway. So
that wasn't you.
It wasn't the intention. It just never, for some reason, that inventory we did in 2009 never made it there. And plus a new law passed. It's a lot to do with cultural resources. And so part of this goal 5 update will be showing where those might be, or how, I don't know how that works because I haven't done the rules for it yet, but I wanted them to create those rules and pay for that part of it. So that's what that goal 5, goal 7 update will be. That'll probably be less painful than the housing one. And then we did another green infrastructure grant that we're trying to do for Combs Flat Road. Combs Flat Road is pretty stark. And so this one would do all the beautification of it if we manage to get that one. And we did get the housing grant for the housing analysis. So that'll be coming next year as well. That's where 8 years ago or 6 years ago, we typically did them every 20 years, but it's the housing analysis that goes through our buildable lands for housing and what types of housing do we need, what do we have, what don't we have, and that kind of whole thing. So we have to do one every 8 years now. So they ran the grant cycle this year. so that we can complete it next year to have it ready for our 8th year. And then that will include a housing production strategy, which is a new thing. Where we actually come up, well, the council will end up coming up with, but you'll be kind of the advisory committee, if you will, for strategies to help produce housing. So they're really on this push to produce housing. I think by the time we get to it, it'll be over, but I think we're already doing it. But that's what that's about. So we'll have, we potentially could have a lot of big projects next year if we get all those.
Busy work. You want us to be busy.
Yeah, and so what I'm doing on these, instead of having these side, what I'd like to do, instead of having these side committees, that kind of these pack meetings and things, I'd rather just the commission be the committee. That way, these things are always kind of open in the public, they're recorded, people can come and they can hear about it. It's just all in one package versus trying to have these little staff public meetings that people don't show up very much, and it's just hard to navigate. So that's what I'm hoping for. And then lastly, hey, Erica.
She has her bat sweater on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Halloween. The third update, I did final comments on the FEMA biological study. So that's going back to that whole floodplain issue. And I'll go ahead and kick on and share my screen. I want to share the presentation.
Maybe.
How does that work? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Are we still recording then? Okay. I got to remember that. So I need to share it from there. So the FEMA biop basically is taking our floodplain layers, our floodplain, and making new rules within the kind of the yellow and the orange areas. And these rules are really, I mean, if you read the full biop, they're almost like intentionally making it so difficult that people don't do anything. Because the rules are really kind of insane. They talk about creating habitat and no net fill, which is pretty typical when you get next to a river. Like, a creek, if you want to fill here, you cut here, so you have a no net gain of flood storage. But then they're talking about adding habitat to these things and adding offsetting your impervious surface by doing like vegetated roofs and all. I mean, it's just weird stuff. And so you look at a floodplain like this, it's like there's no habitat here. So what are we trying to replace? And these answers aren't there. And so we have a situation with our floodplain in town, but there are some coastal cities that are entirely in the floodplain, and they're really panicking. The ramifications of the floodplain is, and they're doing this under the guise of, well, this is a voluntary program, you don't have to use it. Of course, for the last 60 years, they've been putting people in this program, and now they're going to change the rules, and to a point where people don't want to use it. So I submitted comments basically back to them. I don't know if they'll do any good, but every city and about 70% of Oregon is getting hit by this. I don't know what will come of it, but we are pushing back a little bit. I imagine there'll be some lawsuits and all that kind of stuff, but I would kind of want to keep you updated on how that's playing out. I honestly don't know how I would implement their model code that they're presenting in this area. It's not really attainable. So someone builds on a like this guy, he just raised his house, did a whole floodplain thing. In order for him to do that under the model code, he would have to replace the impervious surface with non-impervious surface. Well, how do you do that on a lot that size?
Yeah.
And then you have to replace your fill. Well, what do? Just cut a hole in the backyard. What do you do? So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then the whole habitat situation is like, well, you're not, there is no habitat. It doesn't exist. So you can't replace it. And then there's this whole line of trees. Like if you cut a tree down, you got to replace it with 3. And if you cut 3 down, you got to replace it with 9. You know, there's this ratio, and it's like, what if there's a Chinese elm growing there? Do we have to replace them? I mean, it's just like a lot of our trees are voluntary, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense, particularly in areas because our floodplain is mostly within the existing community. And so we're trying to argue that we already have rules. We have setbacks, we have floodway protections. We try to, protect the actual corridor where endangered species do live and can thrive. Out here is nothing. There's nothing out there that we can do to make it different. Even back in the day, there was nothing out there. It was just the river would flood and that would be it. It's not really habitat for the fish. So the only one we have that they're concerned with is the mid-Columbia steelhead. That's the critical habitat. Now we're not even in the critical habitat. We're just in the area that's affecting us. That's the one species. So we'll see where that goes. The comment period, of course, has closed. We commented. There's no one at FEMA doing anything right now. So we don't know where that's going to go.
That is 9th Street, am I correct?
This is 9th. Yeah. And just for Erica's sake, November meetings are canceled. There is no meeting in November. And we have some grants coming through that we're going to work on next year. Okay, that's all I had on that so far. Anything from the commission?
Is this a decent time to bring up any sort of holiday gathering?
You can. So my guess is, of course, November meetings are out, so we'll probably keep the 16th date just in case. So we won't cancel that one like we normally do every year. We can still do something. It sounds like the city's going to do something potentially in January. Skipping our typical Christmas party in December and pushing
We
it.
haven't had a typical.
I know. Okay,
Christmas
I shouldn't even say that anymore because typically it's not there. What we used to do pre-COVID is our Christmas parties every year at Meadow Lakes. So that will get bumped. So we can kind of discuss if we want to do another something at your house or something. If that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Um,
So if this is a decent time to look at dates, could do that.
or you can just kick out a date when you.
Well, if we were going to do it on a Tuesday in lieu of a meeting, the 2nd would be our first meeting of the month if we were having a first meeting of the month.
Yeah.
If we're keeping the 16th as a meeting.
The 2nd, we could try.
I mean, I don't.
I mean, it works for me. I'm going to be here, so.
So the only thing I have on that evening it'd be walking dogs. So, I mean, but that's a thought, or the 9th, which would be the following Tuesday.
Okay, so I guess people can look at their calendars and then you can get back with me or directly to Priscilla if you want and just see which date is better for you guys, and then we'll pick one.
Both work for me, so.
Okay.
That'd be fun. We can do that again.
I would opt for the 9th just to make my life a little easier.
Okay. We'll shoot for that and see what happens.
Unless somebody has a,
I go for the 9th too,
okay.
as well. Also.
Okay,
Good deal. Okay. Anything else from anything you guys are seeing out there you have questions on? Driving through town?
I love the new road on that side of town.
Holmes Flat's working out pretty well. Since I live north of town, um, the ability to actually move from this end of town to the back up here is substantially, actually, you can see the road here. I mean, I actually catch myself sometimes trying to drive back through town to go home, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can just turn. So that has been a pretty good.
Do we have a feel
Situation.
for whether, how much?
I haven't got the counts yet. I'm not sure. We probably should do that here pretty soon. We did accounts before, and we did counts kind of, I think, immediately a few weeks after it opened, not immediately. But I think now that it's been open for a while and people know it's there and they're using it more and more, I think it'd be nice to do counts now just to see how it affect Main Street. I know it's affected. I come down every day. I drive down Main Street, and we used to back up. Traffic used to back up clear to Mariposa, and now it maybe makes it to Loper, but that light turns much quicker, and we just go through. I mean, I don't wait more than one light. Where I used to wait 3 or 4 lights. It's ridiculous. People couldn't get out. People weren't being able to turn out of Mariposa. It was a mess. And then even back up in Peters and Maine was getting stalled. For people from Mariposa who couldn't get out, they were coming around trying to get to the north, and then that was stacking up. Yeah, it was just becoming a problem, and it has been relieved quite a bit.
Still confused as to why the hydrants are in the middle of the side streets instead of off to the edge of the side streets when they were initially put in and not have to be moved again.
So these guys right here,
There's one there and there's one back
Yeah.
roundabout, if I remember.
yeah, those are blow-offs.
Again, I don't understand why they weren't put off the side of the,
They will be removed completely when they extend the water line.
then they.
Well, it's probably not a normal spot for a hydrant, so we'll just extend that and place a hydrant in the street when it gets built. I mean, yeah, you could put one there, but you want to blow off the end of the line and not a service. Yeah. So that's what they're there for. We'll just pull it and it'll be moved down. It won't be right at the intersection.
Outside the area or the.
Well, plus, yeah, the right of way is pretty tight in here. Up here, so we do hydrants every 400 feet along Combs Flat and then in the neighborhoods. So I don't know where the position of the hydrants are going to be in the neighborhood until they actually develop this. You could have put it there. We just didn't. They also, they use them for construction too, so it works out for both of them. Anything else?
Nothing else?
Nope.
Okay. Let's go to the director's report.
Okay, still got my map up. So there is significant lull in development right now, for new development coming in. There's only kind of 2 housing developments that have, there's one that's guaranteed, and that is phase 7 of Polish. That's right here. It won't quite make it to Rimfire. It'll be just up from it, and phase 8 will then connect Rimfire into this neighborhood. So they're going to do a phase every fall. They're going to start a new phase. So this phase will be up and running by the end of summer next year, then 8, then phase 9, they'll be done. This subdivision is being built right now. This is that infill of Iron Horse. So there'll be lots, 27 lots in here, hopefully by spring and ready to go. Don't know who's going to build those, if it's going to be individual private ones or, some Hayden or somebody else just might buy the whole thing. That's yet to be known. The third subdivision, I should have said 3, not 2, is potentially right here, south of the elementary school. We've talked about that one before. There's a pretty finalized layout for that kind of meets what Iron Horse was originally going to do in that area, from the person who owns it now. You can see the horseshoe road. So there'll be outer homes, and then in this inner area will be, one cut through street and some homes on either side and some alley access. So there won't be any access on this road. If there was, the school would be a nightmare. So everything will be alley accessed through here. So that's kind of where all of our housing development is happening. We're getting a little bit, and we've talked about this before when we were doing our economic opportunities analysis, which is coming forward in a little bit, probably in January. That's getting close to being finished. But these 3 lots right in here, if you turn on the county zones and the city zones, you'll see this is all industrial. And that comp plan basically is to change these, actually all this property up in here into residential. Just not sure how they want to do it yet, what zones they want to use. Does it get master planned? Do we include Butcher Boys? Because it's up on that bench as well. They want to do some commercial in here as a buffer, which is good.
I'm sorry, can you tell me
Sorry, let me pan
exactly
out.
where that is?
So as you come up, this is the road in Porphyry. So this is Lamonta Road.
Okay, thank you.
And so it's always been industrial up here for a long, long time. But it's just not probably the best place to put heavy industrial up on the bench next to all the other homes. It'd be kind of similar to doing this.
Right.
So the thought would be to kind of convert that. I'm just not sure how to buffer from what will be down below, which will be likely heavy industrial. So I'm kind of working with a group there, 4 landowners, to see if we can come together and kind of master plan the area, which would be nice. So that could be a potential large housing development back in there, including the old Smith property
That
here.
was gonna be my next question.
Trying to get them involved. These guys are kind of on their own, so they might do something on their own, but they all need to come together to do the Peters Road extension. And so we're trying at bare minimum, we're trying to get everybody to agree on that alignment. So that can just get platted in there and it's set, and we don't have to keep going back and forth. So that is designed right now, come off of Gardner and kind of swoop up here, kind of following a contour. And then it'll come down and probably go along the top, but that's yet to be seen. But this alignment is what we're trying to get solidified with all the landowners so that we know where it connects in and everybody's on the same page. And then if we can work out trail systems and buffering and different zones or densities, that's great. So that might be something that comes up in the next year as well. No known issues on we started doing some master planning here on the old wood grain site. I don't know where that went. Still kind of there, but they have a lot going on that site with the hemp operator and some manufacturing and things like that. So they're still working on using it as an industrial site. Otherwise, all of our developments continuing up on the hill. This data center is it's probably 50%. You can see it getting weathered in. The Humane Society's done. The service commercial here is nearly done. That's probably going to open pretty soon. And of course, around the corner here, these are all finished and they're setting up to potentially sell this to a larger user in that area.
Where's
And then,
Commerce?
which one?
Where's Commerce up there?
Commerce is this one here.
Okay.
Commerce Court. I should probably just turn on roads. This, Marty, to your question earlier before the meeting started, this is where CVI is going.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
Yeah, so they bought these last 2 lots here. And if you drive up there, you can see the foundation going. It's massive. It's a big 70,000 square foot building. And it'll go clear over to here. So that's moving over from Bend Manufacturing Company. They manufacture all kinds of different parts for people, aerospace, whatever you name it. About 55, 60 employees currently. They're hoping to ramp up 70, 75 over the next 5 years or so. So it's a significant, especially right as Endura got shut down, to have a company come in like that. is significant for our community. That's kind of it on the development side. Infrastructure wise, ASR2 is almost finished and done, to be online. We are starting to inject in November 1st. If it gets online, we'll be able to inject more. We've stored about a little over 400 million in the ground so far. And this next cycle, we're hoping to hit 600. Just keep testing that limit to see how much it can handle before it stops gaining. So we're going to keep doing that. This will be the 6th cycle in that system. If we can get up to 700, that's kind of our goal. The city as a whole uses about 720 a year, including all the data centers, everything. So if we can store up to a year's worth of water in the ground, that is not restricted by water rights. Since we already pumped it, the water right was already used, so it has no restriction on that level of pumping. So we have that unrestricted water there. And then we continue to work on just kind of planning for future UGB expansion type stuff. So that's getting to the EOA. And like we've talked about before, we're getting blocked by solar on the southern edge. So our concentration is kind of up in this area at this time to look at particularly the Legacy Ranch piece. This is 160 acres, which was brought in for industrial development. And it ties into these state lands up here that could potentially be another large industrial site. So that's likely where our next expansion will go. People have asked, what about down here? It's difficult to expand down here unless you have a very specific use that absolutely has to be down there because it's EFU and it has actual farm use going on. Even though it's a gravel mine, it actually has farm use down in here. Whereas up here, it's EFU, but there's no actual farming going on. So it's the highest or the lowest priority. So that's the issue. So unless we have a user that comes in and says, we absolutely need rail, otherwise we can't survive, then it's really going to be difficult to extend down here. Even though the county is, we're trying to get out into these industrial zone areas. Eventually the city's going to have to work out this way. I just don't know when that's going to be. I think we'll have to saturate what we have up here first, unless, like I said, there's a specific user that needs that site. So
You heard anything further about Ventura?
I have not. I know Steve Forrester, our city manager, has talked with the owners. But I haven't heard what those conversations were regarding. I have been giving out a lot of information about size of property and how many buildings under cover and all these things to EDCO. And so I think people are gathering information and seeing what that facility could be and who could use it. Because it's an operation. It's not like the place wasn't making a profit. It was. And it is usable, especially the main plant. There's a ton of usable ground up here, so there's potentially a whole new user could actually split the site. But yeah, the backside is actually still in the county. Hasn't even annexed yet. So this area could be separated if they wanted. It has rail service, whereas the southern plant has its own rail service technically. So this one has rail service on the back. There's actually a spur that comes in here, while the south side could have its own rail service coming in the middle. So they could actually operate separately if they wanted to. So I think a lot of those things are being explored. I just haven't got an update yet. And then Main Street, I kept telling you that was going to happen this year. It is not. They're going to push that to spring. So this Main Street repaving project will happen in the spring. We don't have time to. We're not going to try to rush the paving and miss that window and have a gravel street. So that would not be good. And that's all I have.
Okay, anything else? Questions?
Any further information on the pool? Has a council looked at it yet?
The council has not looked at the pool. How do I stop sharing? over here. Yeah. Can't I do that? Okay. Anyway,
You'll get it all.
I
figured
gotta figure out
eventually.
which screen's which. I got 3 screens I'm looking at. So right now we're going through the feasibility study. And then we are doing, so there's a cost for the building, there's a cost for the, how you're gonna maintain it. These costs are very high. And then, then we're gonna look at how a bond would work, or a levy would work to fund those things, and kind of put this package together as kind of the ultimate package. And then I think from there, we work on what's actually feasible, what maybe we need to, maybe it's too big, maybe we need to scale it back, maybe we need to do things else, but we want to show the council the full thing first. Like, we don't want to dwindle it for them and then show a package. We want to see, this is the Taj Mahal. Now, how do you want to do this? And then allow them a little more flexibility in what goes on. But so that's what they're doing. The consultants we have, that's what they're putting together.
Location?
It's still Barnes Butte. Right where the parking lot is, because we already own it. Got it's too big. That has enough room to do all the parking, share parking with the visitor center, share parking with Barnes Butte Rec area. It allows the rec center and the pool to go in one spot. The only other spot would be south of town, but now we add the cost of the land.
Which
And-
makes some logic being closer to the high school.
Well, closer to the high school or closer to the population is kind of the back and forth. I think the decision on that has kind of been made simply because we own the ground and we have the infrastructure in place to serve it, where down there we wouldn't. So all those costs add to it where it won't up here. Up here, we also have, we have irrigation. We might have irrigation water down there too, but we have, because the irrigation pipe was put in, the road was put in, the water, we have water, streets, sewer, we have irrigation turnouts for all those types of things. We own the land. We have the traffic capacity. It makes sense at this point to utilize that. So that's the thought. Unless council wants to change it. But the Colson property is very valuable residential ground because it's flat land. Or that is mostly part of, we're gonna try to push that into the hillside where the track is, kind of utilize some of that space and tier it where that normally would have been, in the old Iron Horse plan, that was all open space. It wasn't gonna be built with homes anyway. So it kind of helps cite that there. Yeah. Anything else?
Anything else?
Not,
Okay,
Ready to close it?
I think so.
Okay, well, meeting's closed.
Meeting adjourned. All right.